Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to the AME Food Testing Show. Today's topic, integrating food safety and food quality into the food business with Joshua Jones. Mr. Jones is the founder of Fish and Loads, food safety and quality consulting firm. After beginning his career in quality assurance as an internal quality process auditor for a medical device manufacturer, Joshua applied his education and quality background in medical device manufacturing into the food industry as a food safety and quality specialist, regulatory consultant, trainer, and sanitarian for a privately owned vegetable grower and processor, as well as international ingredients manufacturer. Joshua possesses a bachelor's in biology with a minor in biochemistry from the University of South Carolina. Joshua is a certified safe quality food practitioner and auditor for both the ISO 22000 food safety and ISO 9001 quality management systems. He's a registered SafeServe instructor and proctor and conducts these trainings on basic sanitation practices and principles for the restaurant industry. I'd like to now introduce Mr. Joshua Jones. Joshua?
Hello. Hey, thank you for the warm introduction, Andy. It's great to be talking to you right now.
Welcome to the show. Would you like to add anything to your biography?
Nope. I think you've done me a great service there.
Wonderful, Joshua. You know, today's topic, integrating food safety and food quality into the food business, is one of particular interest to me because I enjoy eating, A, and B, I enjoy eating out at restaurants. Can you review for our audience what exactly is food quality in a food business?
Sure. When you look at quality in a food business, well, first, it's really important to understand it in terms of the product itself. When you talk about a quality product, really what you're saying when you attach that term to food is that it looks good, tastes great, and is fit for its intended use, which really means that if it's food, it should be able to be eaten and not be like a piece of cardboard or something like that you really can't chew on and digest. But those are the basic principles behind quality and a quality food. Now, all of those are really important, especially to the food business, because they really are a part of the lifeblood of a business's success or failure. If a restaurant serves cardboard as a product or as a dish, then you can pretty much be certain that they're not going to be in business too long. So really, when you look at food quality, that's what it is to a food business and in a food business.
Great. As a corollary to that, how does food safety in a food business correlate with that idea of food quality and food safety?
When you look at food safety, really, as the name implies, it's everything that you put into place to make sure that food that you send out, whether you're preparing it or shipping it off to some kind of recipient, those things are in place to make sure that you're sending off a safe product, to make sure that you're not causing illness from a public health concern or standpoint, and that includes, the introduction of pathogens into food, the actual mitigation of those items in food, as well as other forms of contamination like physical contaminants and things like that. In terms of, or rather when you correlate that to food quality, they really actually fit into the same definition in terms of how important they are to a business's success. And really that's the case because if you remember the definition that I spoke about a little bit earlier of a quality food, a portion of it is fit for its intended use. I like to group that into, group food safety into that fit for intended use portion of that definition, mainly because I believe, as well as many other people believe, that in order for it to be really fit to be eaten and consumed safely, it really needs to be safe. And in order for it to be quality, then it really needs to be a safe food. So both of those really play a big part in the success of a business.
Excellent. As we think about that integration, a lot of companies built their foundation of their reputation on the high quality, and yet they may have been insensitive to the food safety issues, for example, the potential for microbial contamination. How does a business integrate food quality and safety into its operations?
Well, you have to understand, just to preface this, when a business integrates food safety and quality, either one or both, into its framework, it's really important that they implement the two as governing processes, because that's what they really are. Food safety should and really does impact or steer how food is produced in an operation. Now, basically, both of those really shape the business and how they function to create their products, not just at the end of the process, but also along each step in the path of producing food. Now, really, honestly, the ideal way to go about integration is really for the two to be built in. You did mention that quality has been, from the start, really, since the history of, I can't really say the history, but for a very long time, I'll say it that way, quality has been the end-all for food producing. It has been the primary thing that's looked at, and it's really looked at from the end product standpoint. But for food safety, it's really starting to catch on, especially in the U.S. And that really has been a recent thing, relatively speaking. Companies that are startups from recent years, maybe a decade or so back, really understand that food safety is the lifeblood of their business success. And so you're really seeing a lot of that happening now with the new up-and-coming businesses. But for many older companies that have been making product for quite some time, they may have to do some work to actually grandfather this into their organizations. Now, for those guys, the first step I would say would be to establish the culture of food safety and quality within the organizational mindset. And really, this is done through open, strategic communication. And the result of the communication needs to be that an operator, or that as an operator, I would know that I am making a product that has to function well, look well, and be safe in order for the company to sell it. Also, I as an individual and we as a team have a significant amount of impact on that objective. I really do impact the success or failure of this brand, basically, is what I'm saying. And at that point, I believe that your team becomes invested in it. And then also, you want to go, in order to really integrate this into your system, thirdly, or lastly, you would really want to go along the entire process of the product creation and then determine how both of these play into the process at each step. In a general sense, the quality cues for the product will be taken mostly from sets of customer specifications, and the safety of the product will be mainly from the regulations. Now, this is where in food safety you break out the risk analyses, GMPs, GAPs, HACCP plans, and things of that nature.
Well, Joshua, you've certainly given us a great idea on the fundamentals. Can you give us an example without revealing anything from your clients? Pick out a client and just walk us through the process on how you transformed a relatively good quality product to an increasingly better product plus a more safe product to serve the public?
Sure. There was an instance maybe a few years back, or a couple of years back, where there was a customer who had, didn't have many or any at all, concerns from a food safety standpoint or any customer complaints or anything like that regarding, food safety. Now, the product itself was, low-risk product. So really, they had become laxed in that designation. And so really, in order, but they did understand that they needed to integrate food safety into their business's framework in order to continually improve, because this is really what this is all about, continual improvement. We always want to be continually improving our processes so they continue to get better. And so they realized that this was needed in the process to make it a better one, not only make a better product, but also make a better environment to create that product in, including people and process equipment and environmental conditions, just all around business improvement there. So in application, going into this actual situation, the first thing that we really worked on was to get everyone to really understand the importance of food safety and food quality in meeting customer requirements and also exceeding those, because that's really the first step. You want to meet your customers' requirements. If you don't, then you basically will be unable to sell to them. So that was really the first thing that we did. So came in, did open forums, did trainings with people on site, had mass trainings with the plant to actually get them involved in the paradigm shift that was taking place. And secondly, once we got everybody involved, then we started really getting ideas from the workforce regarding food safety, food quality improvements, cost reduction ideas, and things of that nature. Even employee safety things, we started getting things from there. And so really we began to see the paradigm shift working for us. So after that, we took that momentum and we started mapping the process, basically. We started getting multidisciplinary staffs and employees and bringing them together so that the business itself, so that we as the business, I include myself there, we could really understand the flow of the business. They did have flow maps and things of that nature, but to really understand the flow of your business, the nooks and crannies, it's really important in this entire process. And so once that happened, then we were really able to get this thing moving. And so once we got the flow together, understood the flow, we went along the entire process and did this pretty much line by line, nook and cranny by nook and cranny, it seems sometimes, but went along the entire process and saw and determined where we could insert or where food safety and food quality could be impacted potentially of the final product. We saw where we could make improvements on what is existing or what was existing at that point so that we can basically pump out a better product at that particular step. And I believe that's the culmination of all of this. We got people involved. We got them involved in the product that they were creating, really. And so it really turned out really well. And
Very good, Joshua. As you and I chatted earlier about one particular sub-program, which was a hand-washing program. Can you review for the audience, who are primarily food producers, food safety officers, food production officers, food quality officers, this hand washing program and how you actually had a quality verification step and what you did to technically review the performance of those employees as they perform this new hand washing regime.
Well, sure. As we spoke about a little bit earlier, you do have cultural barriers and differences. And so really when you look at primary producers, growers especially, and even on up, later in the food chain or the food production chain, the cultural differences are really there. You see a large portion of the workforce that are not the same culturally as the U.S. and even among U.S. members or citizens, you see cultural differences there. So really we wanted to standardize the importance of this idea of hand washing. We spoke a little bit earlier about the germ theory, and we wanted to make sure that everyone understood how hand washing could really impact the safety of the final product and ultimately its quality. So what we really did at the beginning was, again, we drove the point home of hand washing and how important it is to the product. And so once we did that, we really wanted to monitor the program, see where it started, and then monitor its progress and verify that what we were doing was actually working properly or working as it should. So for about 6 months roughly, endlessly, we would line people up and test their hands with ATP meters, bioluminescence meters, which basically measure for cleanliness, general cleanliness of surfaces. And so we lined everyone up and tested hands and sampled hands for 6 months straight, just to verify that what we were doing was working. And quite honestly, from the numbers that we gathered, it was.
Excellent. What are some of the benefits of the integration of food safety and food quality to the organization or the company that you're consulting?
Sure. Well, first, when you look at integration of food safety and food quality, really what they are governing processes. And so, as I said earlier, they really do shape the look of your business and how it produces its products. So, when you look at the impacts of poor quality, they ultimately result in customer complaints. I mean, that's generally what they result in. And if the customer complaints come too many, and incidents are very close on that timeline, then they ultimately could result in the loss of business. Your brand could ultimately be shot, and so those things really can hamper and can kill a business that is actually trying to sell good product. So the most obvious benefit would be the potential increased profit by, on the other side of that, producing a consistent quality and safe product. And, of course, they could impact your brand positively in that nature. But it's also been my experience that in doing this more internally within a business, it really establishes a culture within the organization that spills over into other areas of the business. Really understanding how speeding up a production line, for example, how that can affect final product quality really does some empowering for me as an operator. Also, as another example, grasping how an unclean floor area can cause a loss in production due to a safety incident can really empower me as a janitor. So from this, you really begin to involve the people. And that's, from my experience, that's where most of your ideas come from. You're generating ideas from the bottom up, top down. Ideas on, cleaning procedures, cost savings, and things like that. So that's one. Another benefit is that if two are integrated and considered at each step in your process, you can really begin to cultivate the ability to recognize and mitigate potential quality and food safety issues that may affect your final product more easily and earlier in your process. I spoke a little bit about customer complaints earlier. If you go through the pains and the pleasures of integration of food safety and quality into your business, you can really start to head off these issues within your process. Just versus always responding to customer complaints or issuing withdrawals or recalls or things like that can become really pricey.
Well, thank you, Joshua. Those are excellent suggestions. If I could I suggest that you speak into the mic a little bit closer? I'm having some challenges hearing you. I'd like to ask you at this time if you could tell us how your agency, Fish and Loaves, helps industry to integrate these two concepts of quality and safety.
Sure. Well, we believe that a food business that goes through the work of integrating food safety and quality into its mindset and operations really has the potential to produce a very effective business structure that really drives continuous improvement of both the product and itself. Really, the result here is better customer satisfaction, both internal and external, which then really betters the brand. But before a food business can reach these kinds of fruits, really, it is necessary that they understand what food safety and quality process integration really is. So really, a whole lot of our time is spent on the front end educating and coaching staff members on how all this stuff really works. And then once they get it and are on board with the whole idea of integration, we really then begin to phase in the necessary pieces of food safety and quality that they need, things like supplier reviews, facility planning, risk analyses. And then these pieces actually become more natural to the process versus being just extra burdens and pieces of paper to the staff. So that's really what we do at Fish and Loaves.
Very good. As I look at your qualifications, you're an SQF practitioner and an auditor. You also perform audits for ISO 22000 and ISO 9001. Do you find that organizations are gravitating more toward obtaining these certifications rather than discarding them?
Certainly. I've gone through just in my career working outside of Fish and Loaves. I have seen companies really bend over backwards to put these things into place in their systems, and not so much because it's a benefit to have that. Well, it really looks good to have that on your package, as most people do. In SQF, for example, at one stage they allow you to place their emblem on a package, which really looks good at the customer. They really aren't doing it for those reasons. Even though that's a good reason to do it, it helps drive customer sales and how they view you. Really, they are beginning to understand how these different standards and these management systems help your business. They're not just there to add pieces of paper, but for example, ISO, the 22000 and the 9001, we refer to the 9001 as actually a business standard. It really helps your business understand itself and really map itself and make itself more efficient, really. So, yeah, they're definitely gravitating to them, and they're really understanding their benefits.
Wonderful. Joshua, you've been an excellent guest today. Appreciate all of your remarks and all your suggestions for food producers. Could you offer your final closing discussion and frame that within your consultancy of Fish and Loaves?
Well, it has. Let me first say it has been a great pleasure to interview with you, and I hope that we would do many more, if not many, a few. But Fish and Loaves has been working with the industry a pretty good bit to integrate this stuff into their business frameworks, into their systems, and that's something that we really take pride in and take care in. And with that said, I just hope to see some of you in the future in business ventures, and we hope that we can do everything necessary to help you get this stuff integrated and to make your brand better, because that's really our passion.
Well, thank you so much, Joshua, for your participation today on behalf of our listenership of food safety, food quality, and food producers audience. Express our sincere appreciation for your participation today and wish you a great evening.
All right. Thank you. You too.
Bye now.
Bye.